Hi there, I'm Jeremy Gertis, and I am originally from a small town in northeast Iowa. I went to school for a few years at Oklahoma, what is now Oklahoma Wesley, and then I came back here to Des Moines, where I've been for 16 years, the pastor of Deborah Heights Wesleyan Church here in Des Moines, Iowa. You know, Deborah Heights is a small church. We averaged 37 in our primary worship attendance last year. And we're located in what I'm going to call a semi-urban neighborhood. I call it that because we're not in the city center in the urban environment that we have down there, but we're also not in the suburban areas that are just outside of the city limits. What that means is that we get the bedroom community of the suburbs, and we get that coupled with the growing diversity of the city, but we don't get any of the population growth that the bigger, faster, cooler areas of town are getting. Now this presents for us a little bit of an interesting challenge. Basically, we have to figure out how do we facilitate spiritual formation of people who range broadly in terms of ethnicity and culture, socioeconomics, all sorts of different things just that way, but also in terms of their knowledge and understanding of Jesus. For instance, we have neighbors who are completely and totally ignorant of the gospel. They maybe have heard the name Jesus, but they've never stepped inside of a church. We also have neighbors who are opposed to the gospel. They absolutely don't want anything to do with Jesus. And then there's still others that we got to figure out how to effectively form the people that have been in the congregation, been in the church their entire lives. Now for me personally, my personal formation story began very young. As far back as I can remember, I was in Sunday school in church, even when my parents had to drop me off at the door and say, all right, go on in, we have other things to do. The rest of the week though was, I'm going to say that my family was nominally Christian. What I mean by that is that we occasionally prayed before a meal, but I never really saw anybody doing any personal devotions, Bible study, and we certainly didn't have anything on the family line for that. So the first Bible that I remember owning for myself, it came from the church. The church gave it to me. I remember it was back when the New International Version was pretty new, and it was an NIV children's Bible. And what that basically meant was that it had pictures in it. I loved looking at those pictures, and I loved hearing the stories that we heard in Sunday school. But that was about it. That was about all that we got. Now, later in life, I enjoyed going to a youth group on Wednesday nights and going to church camp in the summers, but it wasn't until I was going into the 8th grade that I really made the decision to give my life personally and fully to Jesus. Now, from that moment on, the stories began to become real, really. In the small church where I grew up, the pastor invested in my friends and I. And we were invited to participate in a discipleship group. We studied scripture together and we had fun together. And a year after we began that, a year after I was really saved, I remember going to church camp again. And the speaker challenged us to be at least open to a call from God into ministry. Well, I indicated I would be open to a call, and then I promptly filed that paper in the back of my Bible and did everything in my power to forget about it. Now, the following Christmas, God made sure that call was clear, and He made clear that He was serious about it. So a friend and I started a Bible study together, and we invited our friends at school to come as well. It was the first Bible study that we knew of in our school, and I took a new interest at that time in the sermons at our church. I realized almost immediately I had so very much to learn. And when I went off to college, I was going to study pastoral ministry, and I absolutely loved those classes because my professors, they incorporated prayer and scripture and and it came into almost every single course that we had. I was excited to grow in my faith through that. I also attended a much larger church. The pastor there was great. I love the guy. Absolutely wonderful. And I enjoyed helping with the kids program. But if I'm going to be honest, I never really plugged in to the spiritual formation track that they offered. Now, my junior year, my fiance, she's now my wife, she got a job accompanying a choir at a small United Methodist church, and we began attending there. We attended their Sunday school because they invited us. They asked us, hey, would you come and join our Sunday school? So we did. And the pastor took me under his wing. They initiated. They asked if I would be willing to intern with them. Through that, I learned so much, and I got to say, I grew so much in my faith. And of course, that brings us back to now. To be honest, as I look at all the stuff that our church is doing and all the things that our church needs, I feel wholly inadequate in my own spiritual formation. Much less in my ability to lead the formation of an entire congregation. That's just me being gut honest. Now, I know that God is graceful and He uses inadequate, broken people like myself. But I gotta say, I am excited to be in this class for that very reason. To learn, to grow, to explore how I can help the people I've been leading form their lives to be more like Christ. That's what I'm excited about for this class. That's what I'm excited about for each of us. Hey, that's it for me. I'm out. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. Hey guys, Jeremy Gertis here. Hey guys, Jeremy Gertis here. AMDiv 026, the best there ever was.